Gotcha. And so the Texas legislature has also had a pretty blockbuster year for passing laws. So you're going to have a busy docket, and I wanted to kind of look at a couple of them. One was an overhaul of the election and voting rules in the state. And part of that law required that mail-in ballots provide either a social security number or a driver's license number that had to match what voters submitted when they registered to vote. And if they forgot which one they used and switched up their driver's license and social security, their ballot could be rejected. So in the first round of your primary, 13% of mail-in ballots were rejected compared to about 1% in 2020. Do you worry that these changes specifically have made it harder for every legal vote to be counted and might undermine election integrity?
So taking a step back, when we as a legislature, visited during the special session, the Democrats left their job and refused to sit at the crafting table for this important law, because constituents in Texas in the wake of 2020 were very clear that they wanted to make it more secure and have more integrity in our voting process. This is the most important constitutional responsibility I believe that we all have. And as the legislature in representing the will of the people, they came forward with very common sense measures, including the measure that you had referred to, and that's actually just requiring basic information on a mail-in ballot. There's going to be changes and there's going to be some confusion, but I believe, and as Attorney General, I would back that law in any court. And the reason is very simple, that we just need to make sure that there is no impropriety. There should never be any questions, Republican or Democrat, on either side of whether or not an election is being held freely and fairly. And so the fact is that counties, when counting ballots, have a lot of authorities, a lot of areas of misinterpretation, in my opinion, under our election law system. So to make it unambiguous in terms of what the requirements were is perhaps something we can all do better in terms of communicating to the public, in terms of how you fill in that mail-in ballot. But there's also improprieties and on that same night in Harris County that showed that they forgot to count thousands of ballots as well. So drafting good law to create secure and fair elections is important, but execution, I believe, is just as important. And that pressure falls on counties to do their job, including in Harris County. And so one of my proposals as the next Attorney General is to not only work with the Secretary of State to make sure that the administration of elections are fair, but to amp up the criminal investigative capabilities of the agency to make sure that we're doing the right thing. And right now we only have a handful of prosecutors in a state of 30 million in 254 counties. I would not advocate a special prosecutor in every single county, but we certainly do need more criminal investigative and more prosecutorial capabilities to help counties make sure that there is no impropriety, whether it's mail-in, whether it's drive-through, which was an attempt, ballot harvesting, which is another harmful way in which people are trying to manipulate the system. And
so it sounds like you're advocating more resources, but your opponent as Attorney General spent 22,000 hours of taxpayer time looking for voter fraud and found 16 cases out of 17 million registered voters. You've talked about that you want to eliminate wasteful government spending. Don't you think that increasing this support is going to be wasting taxpayer resources on something that really there has not been evidence for?
So what that statistic shows me is that we don't have good management, leadership at the top to basically get more with less, if that makes sense. So to basically have that amount of hours invested in resulting in so few crimes, because he does try to say, well, I have dozens of cases pending, and that's incorrect. He has multiple counts per each individual. But a good manager would make sure that we're getting more of a return on investment from the hours invested. And also, to be clear, in terms of investigative capabilities, doesn't necessarily mean that every new investigator we bring in is exclusively focused on voting fraud. There's certainly other areas that investigative capability can help us out on, whether it's human trafficking, capital crimes, or other forms of violent crime that we're finding that a lot of county DAs and sheriffs just don't have that capability to be of assistance with. And the fact is the AG can take on more complicated criminal cases that has been neglected. And unfortunately, a lot of those capabilities have been stripped by the legislature because of the lack of trust in Ken. So, we can't just sit back in an ivory tower and just wait for the next area of crime to develop in Texas. We need to be able to anticipate that, whether it's the paper tag crisis that just presented itself in our state capitol, where the black market now is profiting wildly off of printing paper tags in Texas on a temporary basis, where a lot of criminal defendants actually are circumventing our DMV processes. So all to say that we need somebody that's at the top, that's more responsive to the issues on the street.